too much information.
Okay, back to the topic. Yes.
Okay.
The ninth wonder.
Well, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm going to read this. He declares U.S. economy is in a depression. He said, New York Times Robert Kiyosaki's been on the U.S. Times bestseller list for 6 years. More than 32 million copies of the book have been sold in 51 languages across more than 109 countries. I recommend everybody to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kiyosaki voiced his concerns on social media platform X Thursday about the state of the U.S. economy, describing it as being in a depression. He defined a depression as a period where economic growth is subpar, noting that while the economy is expanding, okay, while it is expanding, it's not reaching its full potential. He pointed to recent statistics mentioning a 3.4% growth in fourth quarter of 2023 and a 1.6% increase in quarter 2024 as indicators of this underperformance. Kiyosaki also highlighted the likelihood of the U.S. economy achieving a soft landing, signaling potential difficulties ahead. Before I go on, Patty, what are your thoughts about what he said?
I mean, I think it's evident.
Well, but no, according to the politicians, everything is good, is it not?
Well, according to the politicians, the grass is blue and the sky is green.
Well, and inflation's only at 4% as opposed to 12%.
Inflation's only at 4%. And we have had the best year that we have had in the United States. I mean, I'm just kind of paraphrasing the presidential speech.
Oh, he said we've had the best year. Okay.
The best year. Also, unemployment is at a almost like an all-time low. I mean, it's just that people, when they lost their jobs, they did not go back in the workforce because they could not find anything. And they started going on, I don't know, what kind of programs are supplying these people with money?
You know, let me get a little.
And what I find so bad, we have people coming here that are literally crippled in some instances and cannot get onto disability.
Right. Right.
It's the same way as getting benefits as a United States citizen versus just what's the word I'm trying to think of? Just being an illegal alien and coming across the border.
Well, what's probably going to happen is we're going to probably see a trend where people will leave the country, go across the border, come through and get all these benefits that they can't get here,
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the radicalness. Let me kind of say something historically. I'm not going to mention last names because, it might not be appropriate to somebody. Bill made lying an art form. Barry made it like a snake in an art form. And Brandon doesn't even try. He's so clueless. That's what I have to say. Okay? So, folks, you figure it out what you think. Tom, what do you think about what I just said? Thanks for joining us this morning. Do you think there's any truth in what I said? Let me repeat it. Bill made lying an art form. Barry made lying like a snake. And Brandon just doesn't have a clue nor cares because he doesn't even care that everybody knows that everything that he says, if he's speaking, he's lying. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here.
Off topic.
Okay, where were we here? I totally followed that. Chase the rabbit.
Kiyosaki?
Yes. So Robert Kiyosaki says, okay, they ask him a question. Is the American economy in a depression? He says, yes. Definition of a depression, an economy in subpar growth. Okay. He said, it is not going to be a soft landing. Don't believe the fake news. See the facts, prepare, and take care. All right. He says that in February, he reiterated his concerns, forecasting a looming global economic crash, pointing to vulnerabilities in the stock and bond markets. He also persistently highlighted the growing national debt as a significant issue. Patty, I think he's listening to our show. What do you think?
He should.
Do you think the U.S. economy is in a depression, as stated by Robert Kiyosaki? Okay. Federal Reserve's $34.5 trillion problem. It's almost at $35 trillion. But hey, we're going to give a raise to Social Security because we got to buy votes. Is that what that is? Okay. How is the debt the Fed's problem? Okay. It hamstrings the Fed's ability to fight price inflation. In recent interviews, Crescat Capital macro strategist Octavio Costa told Kitco News that soaring debt levels could ultimately render the central bank powerless and irrelevant in the inflation fight. Patty, that's what I'm saying we're looking at. We are on the brink of that happening right now. We are on the brink of that happening right now because remember what I told you? Eventually, they're going to try to lower the interest rates and it will not have an effect.
I was just looking at symptoms of a depression. Practically everyone that was listed, unemployment, high unemployment, inverted yield curve,
Right?
everything was ticked on there, almost everyone except for consumer spending. And you know what just occurred to me?
What?
What may have kept the consumer spending, and I'm not talking about this consumer, that consumer, I'm saying the average.
Yep.
Well, the reason I think that people are still able to spend is something that we deal with, is that we baby boomers, et cetera, that have been retiring, some of them are retiring with a larger income than what they had when they were working.
Right.
So they were able to keep up with that. They were able to keep the spending up. However, they are now, for the first time, we have some of our clients saying, ouch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had one of
We're
our
hearing that
clients,
from our clients. That's
and that's
absolutely
the first
true.
time we've heard that.
We got a comment from Tom. He says, according to expert, there's only 20% of the money supply. There's talk of the banks closing in May to change everything to digital money. Any thoughts? Tom, I think here's the deal. I think we are looking at the Great Reset. And in order to get to stop the debt clock, if you will, no pun intended, even though I got it posting, folks, it's a way to reset the debt. So it's the way to wipe out debt, bring a reset. But who benefits in that? The billionaires benefit. Average American gets wiped out. Look at all the apartments going up in Greenville and Sarasota. Folks, we'll hold that thought. We'll be right back. 800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyestate.com.
Honey, from an antique spoon your grandmother gave you one sad afternoon. You came to gaze and gave it to your soon-to-be daughter. Soon you'll be somebody's father. Somebody's father. The daffodils graced your muscular calves as you swiftly ran through those green fields.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am watching the U.S. debt clock right now. And while I'm talking to you, $1 million has just been added to the debt right now. First 15 seconds of the commercial. How does that bode for your retirement? We have a tax-free strategy, which we call our P-slip strategy, which is the ninth wonder of the world, compound tax-free interest. Call me at 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneysafe.com and let us know.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. The Biden administration is planning to announce new tariffs on electric vehicles, semiconductors, solar equipment, and medical supplies imported from China. That's according to a U.S. official and another person familiar with the plan. The tariffs on electrical vehicles in particular could quadruple from the existing 25% to 100%. People familiar with the plan speaking on condition of anonymity. Schools across the U.S. increasingly turning to artificial intelligence and video cameras to spot guns. Some states are considering multi-million-dollar grant programs for the technology, but many of those bills have been written with specific criteria, so only one software provider can qualify. The company is called Zero Eyes, founded a few years ago by military veterans. The chair of the National Council of Safety Directors says the technology is good. This is SRN News.
Dennis Prager says it's tough to watch.
Pro-Palestine protesters light American flag on fire outside of a World War I memorial as they spray paint Gaza on the base. To be present as you watch your civilization in decline is not experienced by most people at any given time. You and I are experiencing.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at noon on AM 860, The Answer and theanswertampa.com. Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com.
For today, low humidity with intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 91. For tonight, clouds breaking in with a low of 75. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 91. Get your weather news when and how you want it, wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Caitlin Lawrence for AM 860, The Answer.
The daffodils graced your muscular calves as you swiftly ran through the.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and the song that you just heard is a song written by my daughter, Annie Ellie, called Lavender Honey. And it's kind of like a country song that she wrote years ago. It's beautiful. You can go to her music. My daughter right now is in Hawaii, and she's doing a lot of singing and performing in Kauai. But you can go to Annie Elliott's SoundCloud. Annie Elliott's SoundCloud. So these are ways that you can listen to her music. And so, Patty, what do you think about, I don't know, what do you think about what's going on right now? With the debt. We just talked about the depression here.
I had never seen the debt clock till you showed it about 3 years ago, and it has given me nightmares since.
Well, that was not the intention.
But it's something that is, if you really just, it's hard to not realize it anymore.
Right.
Previous years, people could, like I said, people that had never really considered an issue
Right.
with maintaining their standard of living
Right.
are now feeling a pinch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spoke with one of our clients this morning. I got in the office early and spoke with her, and she just made the comment. She said, when I first sat down and talked with Greg and he asked me the question, are you wanting this money for income or for growth? She said, when you're working, you're like, well, I don't know. And she said, my gosh, Patty, she said, and she planned really well. And she said, so I can imagine people that are in the position that are just now looking at that, are caught midstream, so to speak.
Right. Right. They are.
I mean, yeah, things that, just groceries. And that's like that article that I told you, the 5 things that the average American won't be able to afford anymore. Some things just as simple as family vacations.
Patty, I read an article about how Bill Gates is pushing us to eat crickets.
Oh, I saw that too.
Flour powder. And this is what's crazy. There are diseases in eating insects that if we start eating insects on a wholesale level, it could alter humanity.
Right. And they're wanting to add insects as one of our major forms of protein.
Yeah. Yeah. And, these people are bugging us to death.
But
sorry, that was bad, but it's true. It is. It's a bug in the system. It's a bug in the system, literally. And I'm sitting there watching the debt clock, and it's gone up like while we've been doing a show about $10 million. Just what's $10 million? How many of you that are listening to me right now could use an extra $10 million? Okay, not bad. Patty, you're right about what you're saying. Groceries are through the roof. Gas is through the roof. They say that if you had everybody with electric cars in California, the grid would shut down.
well, absolutely. They already have brownouts.
So, I believe that there's 3 things people need to do right now. Okay. Number 1, they need to, like the song I played, they need to see the truth
next year.
of what's going on. Number 2, they need to have a safe money strategy. Number 3, they need a tax-free strategy. What I'm concerned about Social Security strategy is we can implement it, but they're going to mess with Social Security. And Brandon is giving a raise to Social Security. When is he going to do it? Before the election?
They're saying 25.
Oh, 25. Okay.
But still, it's like with stocks. By the time whatever happens to by the time you know what has happened to the stock, it's already happened. Meaning
nobody will.
there's just as much that happens from the verbiage
Right.
than from the actual occurrence. So the fact that they're saying that,
Email
something's already going on.
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, something's going
You
on,
would try
and
to
that's
contact him
that's the problem
directly.
of what we're seeing.
and you
right
know what?
now.
It also coincides with when the freeze of the tax. What is that?
The what?
The cap on the tax.
It's
Oh, yeah, yeah. The capital gains cap, or not taking capital gains with earnings now. In other words, using capital gain but counting it as earnings. So getting rid of capital gains.
A
That's the
lot
way to
is
get more tax
a
rate.
lot is occurring simultaneously, and it's in 2005, and it's not by any. It's not, as they say. I don't believe in coincidences.
No, I
Yes,
don't
we
either. And let me go back to that interview. In a recent interview, hey Greg, how are you doing? In a recent interview, Crescat Capital Marco strategist Satevio Davicosta told Kitco News that soaring debt levels could ultimately render the central bank powerless and irrelevant in the inflation fight. We've talked about it on previous shows. That's because the two primary weapons the Fed uses against price inflation are interest rate increases and balance sheet reductions, both become increasingly difficult to wield as the national debt spirals out of control. At some point, the debt problem is going to be so large that it'll cause the Fed to become almost irrelevant because they can't raise rates. Every day that interest rates stay elevated raises the U.S. government's borrowing costs. Rising interest rates drove Uncle Sam's interest payments to over 35% as a percentage of total tax receipts in fiscal 2023. In other words, the government is already paying more than a third of the taxes it collects on interest expenses, and those interest payments are rising every month. The federal government spent $288 billion in interest expense to finance the national debt in the first quarter of fiscal 2024. That was more than national defense, $238 billion, in Medicare, $168 billion. The only higher spending category was Social Security at $351 billion. Interesting what Tom says. He says the Fed is buying debt. The central banks control the Fed. The president can't control either. Wow, that's true. They are buying debt. Wow. If you think about what he just said, the Federal Reserve is now controlling this nation like never before. And they ain't even federal. I used ain't. That's
okay.
for our Greenville clients. Okay.
Come on now.
Well, okay, Spartanburg and Seneca.
It's all of our no.
And Florida.
And Florida.
That's right. I don't use ain't very much, but I thought it was fitting to use ain't there.
Well, yeah.
I threw Patty for a loop.
Yes,
there.
you did.
I haven't seen you speechless for a long time, Patty. That was pretty good.
That is very hard to do. But we are able to help clients. And I know some of our clients and some of the listeners might be saying, I'm too old for a strategy like that.
Patty, if somebody can do a Roth conversion, they can use our Rothing strategy. Folks, seriously, if you want to take advantage of these tax-free strategies, let me talk about one program that we have. They will add 3 to 1 what you put in for your retirement.
Exactly.
3 to 1. I was talking to our friend David. We were talking about that. And it's very fascinating what he was talking about. And he's saying that this program obviously is second to none. And one of the companies, the one he represents right now, is probably the one we want to start using for that.
Well, that's what we've been doing recently.
Yes. I think it's going to help people a lot. Folks, think about this. If you've got cash, let's say you made a real estate sale. Right now, you can put money. So we've got a client, he's putting in $50,000 a year for 5 years. Okay, from cash. And we can actually put it into a holding account. It'll make 3 or 4% on that money. That cash will convert into an account that'll provide him tax-free income in anywhere from 10 to 15 years, depending on how we strategize. Now, if we use a bank, and I say a bank, we use a funding instrument, we can contribute 3 to 1, which means if he puts in 250 over 5 years, the funding instrument or the bank will contribute $750,000 over a 10-year period. So it's as if he's put in $1 million in his account. So he gets the benefit of a return on $1 million, even though he's only put in $250,000 of his own money. Folks, this is a program that is worth mentioning. We do a lot of it. It does work. You need to consider these things. They're very, very important, folks. They can help. Listen, we're almost out of time this segment. We got about a minute and a half. Patty, I know you love this program. I do too.
I do.
You know, this is a way to help people like never before.
It truly is. And I have just a couple of things to say. One, please do call us about this. If you think you're too old for this product, but you have friends that are younger, mention us to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Also, if you're wanting to leave legacy, but you don't know the best way to do it, we just told you this is the best way to do it.
It really is.
So even if you call and you do not qualify because of age, trust me, we can work with you on ways to leave legacy for your heirs that is more than what they ever dreamed of, and yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Otherwise, it is a phenomenal way to create tax-free income, not tax-deferred, not tax-deferred strategies, tax-free strategies.
Tax-free strategies. That's right. That's what we're talking about today, folks. Compound interest tax-free. You tell me, anybody listening to the show, can you think of anything that's going to have a better result from a earning standpoint than tax-free interest, tax-free compound interest?
You know what else I like about this? Yes, there is legislation where they try to control this, but
Let's talk about it next segment.
The bad thing about a Roth is still controlled by the government.
Oh, it all is.
Exactly.
It all is. We have a partner.
Yeah.
It's called Uncle Sam, and he's not even our uncle, as Ed Slott says. Folks, we are out of time. We'll be right back.
That my mind can conceive is more wonderful than my heart.
Couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Want out of your timeshare? Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-656-1155. 800-656-1155. 800-656-1155.
Folks, that song that you heard was a song made popular by Larnell Harris and Sandy Patty. Paul, with you, more than wonderful. And that was my late wife Marie and I singing. That was one of the favorite songs that we sang, and yeah, very, very powerful song. Patty, you know, I know we do these shows, and it's interesting to think about what's happening. You were mentioning about the high prices of groceries right now, high prices of things. Do you know that right now I read an article that says people are literally that right now the housing has come to a standstill because of how quickly the interest rates have risen. So what's happened is the housing market is not happening right now. It's even It's being felt in Greenville. It's being felt in Florida. But you know what's going on? All these apartments are popped up and they're owned by big hedge funds. And they're setting up rental subdivisions. So in other words, it's like what the World Economic Forum person said. He said, you will own nothing and love it. This is what's going on right now. This is a global reset. And if we don't do something to protect ourselves with our money, if we don't take the right steps, it could be a bad situation and we need to really think about what I'm saying here. We really need to think about that. That's crucial because this reset is happening in front of our eyes, but we've been made like drones that we are so busy surviving that we don't come up for air. And I think we need to come up for air, take what they call in Hawaii the aloha spirit, where you just sit and chill and breathe in the air and contemplate. When was the last time you sat down or I sat down and just chilled and contemplated without having some task or some job to do or something that we're doing? We need to take the time to hear what God is saying to us. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm speaking to myself. I'm not speaking to you or anybody else only. I'm speaking to myself.
I mean, I think it's so true, but I really do believe when you started this moment, I visually felt like I was watching a movie, and I could just see to where it's like the American people it's like a magician, where they distract you with whatever, so you don't see what is really going on. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
We're being distracted so that we don't see what's really happening.
That's a good analogy. That's exactly right. It's like I saw a magician when I was in Argentina and I caught him one time. You know, usually I'm not great at catching him, but I caught him and I saw where it came out of his sleeve. And here's what's happening. They're not even good magicians right now. They don't care. People don't care.
They're finally starting to get there because it's almost, I have a combination of analogies right now. It's almost like you said, drinking the Kool-Aid. So many people have drank the Kool-Aid to where the Kool-Aid drinkers are controlling it.
Yes, very much so.
It's to where it is more open. And to where now I'm just amazed at the things that are said, the things that are done, and how America, we're not pushing back.
No, because people are so busy trying to survive. Middle class. And meanwhile, we've got these campus protests going on. Okay. Anti-Semitism hitting new heights. And it's being proliferated by a very divisive government. We have a very divisive government. When you see the way President Trump is being treated, whether you like him or not.
Oh, it's appalling.
It's appalling. It's an affront on the office. And what's going to happen when it gets reversed on the people behind this? This is a coup. We are witnessing a coup, and that does not bode well for the economy. Patty, I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I believe our economy is the most vulnerable that it's ever been in my 63 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it'll be 64. I guess tomorrow I'll be a year older.
Yes, you will.
But I'm going backwards. So I told, Ken, I started at 50 going backwards. So 14 years. So I'm 36 tomorrow. That's where I'm at. 36 tomorrow,
Well, I just turned green.
You turned green?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Did I
Jealous.
upset your stomach?
No, jealous.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Ken, how are you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. So we really need to do two things, Patty.
Okay.
We need to take Second Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, and pray, I will forgive their sins.
Repent.
That's number one. Okay. The next thing we need to do is we need to wake up and not buy into a system that is rigged. It is a rigged system. Thirdly, we need a cultural revival. So we need a spiritual and a cultural revival as well. So that's 4 things. And we need to wake up and realize that the old patterns are not the current.
Got your ears on, Doc? You there, buddy? Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Seeing your mouth move, but I ain't hearing nothing here.
You're not hearing anything? Well, then press a button.
Turn my other music down. Hang on a second. All right, say something now.
Now, say something now.
Nope, not yet. Don't think so. Everything looks pretty good here. Check all your cables, make sure everybody's plugged in. All right.
Looks like everything's plugged into me.
And now I can hear you.
Well, you must have hit another button.
I don't know, but let's not touch anything. Now it's working.
Well, you know, the computers, they have a mind of their own.
They do, especially when you add Zoom into the mix. So there you go. How you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
Tip top, thank you. I have to do all 3 shows today. I'm going right from you to Jeff and then to the sports zone, so I won't be able to go to the bathroom for 2-3 hours.
Oh my God. Well, we'll give you a break at halftime.
I brought a bucket with me.
You need that big of a container, huh?
Well,
Usually,
you
jar
never know.
works for
You want to
me.
be prepared.
A jar works for me.
What are we talking about today? We got a lot of numbers on the screen there behind you.
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about the rise of insurance premiums relative to Obamacare and what all's going on. It's interesting, you know, there's a lot more people that are receiving health insurance now, and a lot of it's subsidized. So where's it coming from?
Well, you know where it's coming from, Doc.
Yeah, it's coming from us and from borrowing money. Social services are still the biggest part of the federal federal budget entitlements, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, military.
Well, they better not be touching Medicare and Social Security. They're going to die if they do that.
Oh, yeah. And I think that the Democrats are always harping on Trump and saying he's going to cut your benefits. He's always saying, no, I'm not. So.
Well, the worst that's going to happen now is we're going to probably up the age to about 67 for Social Security and probably Medicare too.
You know, some of the Scandinavian countries, they have an interesting system. It depends on what your job is. So if you're a construction worker and your joints are going to have a much more limited lifespan, your career is going to be shorter, you can retire earlier. But now if you're a doctor or a radio announcer and you're sitting on your butt most of the day, then you end up having to wait longer, which is not a bad system if you think about it.
Not at all. I mean, I'm nowhere near ready to retire, and I'm in pretty good shape, so I can do this job for another 10 years probably.
And a lot
until
of
my mind goes.
Yeah, and a lot of the doctors and professional people, they have their own private retirement plans on top of Social Security, so they could limp by without Social Security for a few more years.
Yeah, there's a lot of waste we could unravel if we took a look at it.
But everybody's the same in the United States, supposedly.
Well, that doesn't work out realistically now, does it?
No, it doesn't, especially if your name's Trump. You got to-
All right, what else we got on the agenda today? Anything else coming my way that I should be ready for?
Yeah, let's see. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Hospitals are refusing to do surgeries unless you pay in full up front. Israel attacks Rafah, and our government says they're not going to supply them with any of the weaponry that they supposedly need. I don't believe that.
How do you track that?
I don't know, because you could sell it to Taiwan, and Taiwan could turn around and sell it to the Israelis.
It's easy
almost
to get
impossible.
around something like that.
Yeah, it's easy to get around that. And then big donors are upset over Biden's pledge not to supply weaponry to the Israelis, because a lot of the big donors in the Democratic Party are Jews.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Biden doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I think he's caught. He's caught between different wings of his party, and he's trying to appease everybody, and it doesn't work. I'd go for the main bulk of the party, and to hell with the left wing. Let them swing in the wind.
Who else are they going to vote for?
Nobody.
Well, maybe that's what they're afraid of. They won't go out at all.
Yeah. And then,
all right, Doc, I'm going to put it back to you in the audio mode here, and we'll get some show going here after the weather.
You got it, bud.
Started tracking Christians like cattle. Yes, you heard it right. He pressured banks to tag transactions for certain keywords. One of them is Holy Bible. That's a horrifying and creepy attack on our religious freedoms. It's made possible by a digital financial system that makes you a sitting duck. But you do have other options. I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnau, a news analyst, a best-selling author, and evangelical leader to people who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Biden's anti-Christian bureaucracy while also preserving your retirement savings. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text faith to 989898. There are no strings attached. So text faith to the number 989898 right now and take action to protect your own prosperity.
This is Ed Morrissey at hotair.com for Town Hall. Angry that Israel wishes to win the war that Hamas and the Gazans started, Joe Biden announced that he would withhold weapons from Israel until they stop trying to attack Hamas where they have hidden themselves in Rafah. Just a couple of days after claiming to remember the victims of October 7, Biden wants to force Israel to let the perpetrators of the massacre off the hook. While claiming to support Israel and oppose terrorism, Biden cited civilian casualties as his reason for suspending the transfers. Hamas deliberately hides among civilian populations for this very reason, a war crime and a terror strategy that Biden has now validated by blaming Israel for the casualties. And Biden has done all this without any pressure on Hamas to return hostages, including Americans. 3 years ago, Biden betrayed our allies in Afghanistan. Now Biden wants to abandon American hostages and 9 million Israelis to Hamas and Iran. Biden is an utter disgrace. I'm Ed Morrissey.
WGUL, W229DJ Dunedin. Powered by Prosperity Group. Come grow with us and reach your retirement goals.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Former President Trump campaigned in New Jersey on Saturday, saying even Democrats are starting to rally around his campaign, making victory over Joe Biden possible in any and all of the 50 states.
He's so bad, I think we're going to win them all. All across America, millions of people in so-called blue states are joining our movement based on love, intelligence, and a thing called common sense.
The evening rally took place in the southern Jersey resort town of Wildwood. More U.S. military aid is on the way to Ukraine as Russia steps up its attacks. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has the latest.
President Biden approved another $400 million package of military aid for Ukraine. It includes a wide array of missiles for air defense systems and other munitions, along with armored vehicles, boats, and other weapons. National Security spokesman John Kirby.
In the coming weeks, Russia will likely increase the intensity of fires and commit additional troops in an attempt to establish a shallow buffer zone along the Ukrainian border.
He says the U.S. is working to get Ukraine the equipment, tools, and weapons to defend against Russian attacks. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Biden administration is planning to announce new tariffs on electric vehicles, semiconductors, solar equipment, and medical supplies imported from China. According to a U.S. official and another person familiar with the plan, the tariffs on electric vehicles in particular could quadruple from the existing 25% to 100%. The United Auto Workers aiming for a victory at Mercedes-Benz in Alabama. More than 5,000 workers at the facility in Vance and a nearby battery plant are going to vote on whether to join the UAW. This is SRN News.
Join me, Dennis Prager, on an unforgettable Bible cruise to the Caribbean, November 29th to December 8th, 2024. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. Amid profound conversations, I'll share about the Bible and my insights into current events in a way that I believe you will really enjoy. Secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure by calling 855-565-5519 or booking online at PragerBibleCruise.com.
Hi, Tom Bodette wearing a poncho to prove a point. Ponchos may not be in style, but mark my words, they will be. How do I know? Well, we've been saying Motel 6 has clean, comfortable rooms for the lowest price of any national chain for years. And now suddenly frugal is all the rage. What next? One word. Ponchos. Book your room online at motel6.com. I'm Tom Bodette in a sassy poncho for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com. Just when you thought your smartphone couldn't get any smarter, now you can add the AM860 app with local news, national headlines, and commentary. The answer is smart. Adding the AM860 app to your smartphone is genius. Get it now at the Apple App Store and Google Play.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
For today, low humidity with intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 91. For tonight, clouds breaking in with a low of 75. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 91. Get your weather news when and how you want it wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Caitlin Lawrence for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doctor.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and coming at you on 860 AM and 93.7 FM. I think I got it right this time, Ken.
I think you got it very close there. I think
close enough. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, X, Y, and Z. I don't even know what those are, but so
they do, and that's all that's important.
So we've got a lot of local news to go over real quick. Were you affected by the outage on the internet yesterday, the Spectrum?
Yes, I was, as a matter of fact, for several hours.
Yeah, we were too, and our gates went down here at the townhomes because they're run by the internet. And so I went up there. Well, actually, I was coming in. I tried to get in. I couldn't get in, and I couldn't get out. So I went into the guardhouse and kicked off the breaker to open the gates and leave them open. And then a little while later, I went back to see if I could reset everything. And then I closed it, but it only closed halfway. So then I had to open the exit gate and leave that open. And so we've only got one entrance and exit to our little community here. And I'd like to strangle the guy that talked us into getting this gate system, Ken. Oh, my God. Any rate. So the whole problem was caused by a pole fire in Pinellas Park. I think a house caught on fire. It looked like from the images that I saw. And then a utility pole caught on fire. And I guess there was a main trunk line for the internet that got toasted. So everything went down in the Tampa Bay area for several hours. But now we're back up, thank God.
Yes.
But it does show you something, Ken. We're not immune. I mean, even with all of our technology, we still are going to have problems from time to time.
We are very dependent, probably too dependent right now on the internet. Yes.
And on technology in general. But that's not new, because there were a lot of outages. Remember, you'd be watching TV back in the 60s or 70s, you'd be watching a live show and it'd go out and they'd put up a little sign that said they apologize temporarily.
Technical difficulties, right?
Yeah,
yes.
technical difficulties.
It would happen once in a while. Yeah.
It happens. It happens. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
And then we have a troop of macaque monkeys in Central Florida that are roaming around. And Linda Wasco of Primate Paradise in Austin, Florida, says that this is probably the descendants of a troop that got loose at Silver Springs in the 1930s. I think they had a group that were there for research purposes, and somehow they got out, or somebody let them out probably. And so they have been moving around the state for decades now. I think we have some monkeys over here in St. Pete, and this is a great area because there's still a lot of scrub land, so to speak, and places where they can go and hide and live. And then you've got the golf courses, of course, which have areas that you can reside in. I'm thinking about moving out onto the golf course myself.
You play?
Nice, yeah, a real nice pack of coyotes out there I've befriended. So at any rate, they're good kids.
Oh, I didn't know we had wild monkeys in Florida.
We do. And we got a couple wild monkeys doing this show. Unbelievable, isn't it? And then I guess.
Well, happy Mother's Day, by the way, before we go too far.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day. Let's give a shout out to all the mothers out there. And I've told you the story about my mother, what a great woman she was, put herself through college and medical school. She was really and truly the daughter of a coal miner. Her dad came from Poland, and I don't think he ever learned to speak English. And he was a coal miner in Southeast Ohio, and that area there, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio. That's a big coal mining area. And she put herself through college and medical school, had a very active social career. She was the governor's of Kentucky in 1950. She was the chairman of the governor's committee to investigate how to integrate the public schools. And she was on 3 presidential commissions on youth and child welfare, and she even chaired one year. Very active. She worked in public health all of her life, and just a really great lady. Taught me a lot about life and liberty and
the pursuit of happiness.
Yes, and she was an English major, not unlike me, or I was an English major, not unlike her. And of course, she wouldn't talk to my sisters the way she talked to me, because I don't think they were smart enough to get it. But she'd quote Shakespeare and different literary greats and poetry, and it was nice. I mean, it was really a pleasure to have her as a mother. She really taught me a lot. Taught me how to cook, sew, clean, iron, beat up the neighborhood kids. No, not really.
But she was going to college to get a medical degree when women weren't doing that at all, correct?
No, and it's amusing to me that I asked her. I said, "What do you think of the women's movement?" I asked her in the late 60s, early 70s. She said, "Billy, I never understood it." I said, "Why not?" She said, "I wanted to be a doctor. I went and became a doctor." Of course, she told my sisters a different story. "Oh yeah, the women's movement's a good thing, and you need this." But I don't think that there is necessarily an inequity. I think that it's just that women need a lot more encouragement and group support than men do. And so we're more aggressive and that's testosterone though, Ken.
I don't think there's any shortage of women in the medical profession now.
Majority, almost, I would say it's about 50%. So at any rate, she graduated in 42 or 43 from medical school. So it's a long time ago, buddy.
Yeah.
And she claims to be the first civilian doctor in Kentucky to give a shot of penicillin during World War II.
Could be.
Could be.
Timing is right. So, you know.
She had to petition the state and the FDA to allow her to get some penicillin because it was being saved for the soldiers, of course. The war was on in the 40s. That was a big deal.
The war? Yeah. It was in all the papers and everything.
Mm-hmm. I think they even had it on radio.
I think they talked about it once in a while. Yeah. President mentioned it. I think FDR mentioned it once or twice. Yeah.
And speaking of war, now the Israeli Gaza war, it looks like the president is trying to distance himself from the Israelis because of the claims that the Israelis are committing genocide.
He's trying to play both sides of the vote.
That's he's trying to play both sides, and he says he's going to withhold weapons. But as you and I were talking before the show, how are you going to do that? I mean, these weapons could be sold to any number of countries around the world that are friendly to the Israelis. And the Israelis and the Indians are close. India and Israel have had a close relationship over the decades. And India is producing a lot of weapons, so the Israelis could undoubtedly adapt a lot of that. And their Iron Dome depends upon anti-missile missiles to shoot down various things. And where do you think they're going to get those? So I think Biden's probably trying to, as you say, play to both sides, but it ain't going to work.
No, you just upset everybody then.
Yeah, and indeed, a lot of the big donors in the Democratic Party are Jewish, and so they're saying we're not going to, you either change your ways or we're not going to fund you, and they're pitching a fit and raising heck with the old boy.
Well, those are his troubles.
He looks terrible.
He does not look good lately now, especially when he's walking.
His Parkinsonism is getting worse. The medications, I don't think, are holding him. And I don't know how he's going to do this. I mean,
another 4 years? I don't think he can. I think he'll pass away in office, tell you the truth. The stress may just be too much for him.
Which wouldn't be bad, except Kamala is coming up behind him. And
yeah.
Oh, my God. She is dumb as a brick. No offense.
That wouldn't be good either. You're right.
No, that would not be good.
So who does that put in charge then?
Well, I volunteer.
Assuming she's not going to be making any decisions.
Now, Trump keeps sending me these emails asking me if I want to be the vice president, but I have a feeling I'd have to donate several million to the campaign.
You don't want to be vice president. No.
Nah, to get on well, you'd get some free travel.
You fly nice, yeah.
And you get free rent.
You should go to a lot of funerals.
A lot of funerals and weddings, and you might even get to dance with Camilla, the Queen of England.
Yes, possibly.
I don't know that I would want to, but
well, you may be over there because the king ain't feeling so good these days. You know what I mean?
A lot of health problems in the family.
Yeah, no kidding. But they'll get through it. They've got a I guess the boys are fighting again too. They have not made up yet. I thought they were going to make up with dad getting cancer and all, but no.
Yeah. Well, the younger one married that shrew from California.
Yeah, and it split the family up pretty good.
Even her father says nasty things about her.
Hey, love is blind,
What's her name?
Megan something. Is it?
Megan, Harry and Megan. And Megan doesn't seem like a real nice person, but who knows? Who knows?
She's an actress, I guess. So that's
she's
trying to become an entrepreneur now. She's got her own line of clothing coming out, I think now.
The Royal line,
probably. Yeah.
And then Kate's got some kind of cancer that she's being treated for. She won't tell anybody what it is, but they apparently discovered it when they were doing abdominal surgery on her. So it's either female cancer or GI cancer. Most likely thing that she would be treated for would be colon cancer. And that would be the more common of the cancers that she would contract.
In her 40s, really? Yeah.
It's uncommon, but it's increasing. It's increasing among the Gen X or millennials or whatever they are. So
How are the survival rates of all three of those?
could be
Really good?
ovarian. Ovarian's not a nice one to have.
Hmm.
But if they get it early, they can cure it. But then you have an increased risk for other cancers like breast and pancreatic cancer and GI cancer. I guess there's a genetic factor there, but not in everybody. Sometimes it just pops up.
Poor William, he's got he's stressed, I'm sure, between the wife and the father. It's got to be, and maybe being king. I mean, all this stuff got to weigh on you.
Yeah.
For a while.
And the social responsibilities of being in the royal family, they're not light. I mean, I'm sure they have a better life in terms of lifestyle than the majority of us do, and they're an extremely wealthy family, but still, you got a tight schedule. I mean, you're pretty much booked up most of the time.
You're a working royal.
Yes,
that's
you
why
are.
that's why Harry quit. I think he didn't want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you got to admire Elizabeth, both Elizabeths, but Elizabeth II, she really was a trooper. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, how about 90? What was when she finally decided to step back? 90, right before she died.
And I think that woman in death traveled further than any dead person in history. I mean, they drug that body all over Great Britain.
Must have been her wishes.
Yeah. I want to see the country before.
Yeah, one more time. Yeah.
One more time.
Where are those numbers behind you? I'm seeing all kinds of numbers behind you. What do you got? What do you got
Well,
back there?
I was looking at the health insurance cost rise. Now, this is between 2016 and 2017. I was trying to tie it to the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and apparently some things changed with Obamacare in between 16 and 17. And you can see that in Florida, monthly premiums on average jumped from 262 to 306. That's 17%. That's a big jump, Ken. That's a big jump. And if you look at the columns, it looks like most of the states that I got onto this slide were in the double digits. And I looked at the rise in healthcare costs from 2000 to present, and there was a big jump compared to inflation in the 2009 era, right after the 2008, 2009, when Obamacare was passed. And part of the problem is, of course, that there was a redistribution of the wealth, and a lot of the money that was going to go to Medicare and the other programs that were not fully government funded ended up going to Medicaid and Medicaid-like programs. So that shifted the balance of payments. And of course, then that means that private insurance companies had to increase their fees, and we had to pay more. And then in addition to that, the hospitals are crying that they're having a hard time, so they're trying to get their fees up. And there was even a report in the Wall Street Journal of a woman who said she could not afford to have her daughter's tonsils taken out, and that the hospital wanted its money up front because she didn't have insurance. And so she was lamenting that there's an inequity there, that she made too much to have public support through Obamacare or Medicaid or Medi-Cal or whatever. And it didn't seem fair to her. And of course, the hospital's saying, look, we're a business. We got to pay our rent and pay our employees and buy new equipment. And if you think about it, I mean, yes, the hospital corporations are generally doing well, but that's the whole idea of being in business, Ken. I mean, if you don't make 15 to 20% gross margin on your operations, and you're not going to, your stock won't survive. You won't make it. And
does the federal government create tax breaks for hospitals who provide free service?
The state does reimburse the hospitals per day of bed usage for indigent patients. And the federal government, of course, has the Obamacare and the other programs that are federally funded or subsidized. And this gives the individual who can't afford insurance like you and I can an opportunity to purchase it at a greatly reduced or no cost at all. So then we end up paying more. So we're not only paying more in terms of actual premiums, but we're also paying more in terms of the tax dollar and where it's going. And what we're not paying is being made up for by, you know what, federal borrowing.
Right.
And guess who the majority of the bondholders and treasury bill holders are? They're Americans and American companies. So that's another indirect tax, and it goes on and on. We have a lot of taxes that are direct and that are indirect as well.
Not good, Doc. You're bringing me down.
Well, I didn't mean to. I was going to talk about something uplifting, but then you got me sidetracked.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, listen, at any rate, Blinken reports that it's impossible to verify if Israel broke the weapons laws in Gaza, because there's accusations now that they're not adhering to the Geneva Convention, which of course I don't believe, but it looks like Blinken's a little bit of a splitter from the mainstream of the president's staff and White House, but I don't know.
Wouldn't be unusual.
Well, he's what, Secretary of Defense? Yeah. He's been kind of a weenie, so now he's starting to stand up a little bit, which is good.
Yeah, but considering really not U.S. troops involved, I would think the Secretary of State's getting more ear time with the president than the Secretary of Defense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the president says he's delaying sending precision weapons to Israel, as we were talking about. But how do you track that?
That's right. You can't track that.
You can't track that. I mean, this is just a bunch of words.
Once they get off the plane, you don't know where they're going.
You don't know. And, you could send them to Turkey and the Turks could ship them over. You could send them to Italy and the Italians could ship them over. And there's a number of countries that are involved in this actively. The Scandinavian countries are contributing. Great Britain's contributing.
Germany, I think, is contributing.
Yeah, and I think France is probably kicking in a little bit just to not get everybody all PO'd.
Before they surrender, you mean?
Well, I hope.
Here, take our weapons. We give up.
We give up. Yeah, but you didn't put up a fight. Well,
we're all going to have some wine and
we're drinking.
We're going to have some really good pastries tonight. Stick around.
Mm-hmm. So they're all hanging out at the cafes and the boulangerie.
Absolutely, the Moulin Rouge.
So it's a tough situation, I'm telling you, man. And the Israelis are up against it, but I think that they'll be okay. I don't think that
they seem determined.
They do. They seem determined, and I think that they have an opportunity here to once and for all get rid of Hamas. But they're going to have to be really stern. Now, the Palestinian Authority is claiming that there are 30,000 Palestinian civilians who have been killed. Where are the bodies? They dig up they dig up 50 or 100 bodies next to a hospital, which could have been buried there, years ago, because they ran out of places to put them. I mean, it could be a pauper's grave, but you never hear anything about the follow-up on that. They were supposed to do autopsies and find out what happened to these folks, but I guess it was not favorable to the cause, and so they didn't release that information. And we had USF, we had 20 students arrested. Well, I don't think they were all students, probably half of them, for protesting pro-Palestinian protests. And as you know, the Board of Regents and the governor and the head of the state university said, no, you can't do that. And they even found one guy with a weapon, and they were advertising, Ken, on the social media for weapons to come in and fight the police here in Florida. Can you believe that?
That's crazy. That's not a protest anymore.
No, that's not a protest. That's civil war. That, of course, they're not going to go to jail for 10 years like the January 6th people are, who weren't even armed, by the way.
Yeah, this is way out of control.
Way out of control.
It's not like this. It's not like the Vietnam era at all.
No. Well, we didn't have access to that much weaponry, so.
Well, I don't remember the kids bringing weapons with them.
No, I think we were too afraid that we'd get mowed down in the street. And remember at Kent State, the
Yes, right.
National Guard did get a little antsy and fired into the crowd and killed 2 or 3 people. Not the end of the world, but at the end of the world for those 3 people.
Yeah.
And that really galvanized the country. But surprisingly, the Republicans swept this 1968 election, and the Republicans were more pro-war than the Democrats were, even though the Democrats started the whole thing in Vietnam.
Well, Nixon was right. There was a silent majority in America at the time, just watching all this and saying it's crazy.
Yeah, but
You
he
know?
said that he made the silent majority. He and his think tank, they said, "Well, we'll get a little hook here." And
Well, they needed a name for it, certainly.
yeah, they needed a name.
But they were out there, and he kind of sensed that, I think. That the people
recently-
we were looking at on TV every night with Walter Cronkite was, they were 20 and 30-year-olds, but he knew the 40, 50, and 60-year-olds were sitting at home watching this saying, what is going on?
At Walter Cronkite, he did nothing but stir up the country and divide us and promote socialism and communism. He was a bad man, Ken.
Walter?
Yep.
I don't know. He was kind of my hero there for a while.
I think he was all of our heroes. But after he died and they started investigating this guy and what he actually thought and felt, he was a no good, Nick. He wanted to see, he's like our press today. He wanted to see the country destroyed and rebuilt in a socialist, socio-Marxist fashion, or a socio-fascist, as I call the system that Biden and his gang want to implement, where you have a one-party state, you have a strong man at top, you have free enterprise, but only free enterprise that the state allows. So if you want to have a gasoline engine and they don't want a gasoline engine, guess what? The tariffs and the taxes and the fees on gas engines are going to go way up, and on electric engines are going to go down. So that's not free enterprise, Ken.
No, not at all.
No. And then also they want to implement broadened social programs, which is exactly what Hitler did. He won the hearts of the women in Germany because he expanded the social programs, social welfare, health care, all the things that we think of as being socialist, he had implemented. Or
he let him out of the Depression.
Yeah, he let him out of the Depression. And you know how he did it? He borrowed money.
I can say government spending. That's right.
Yeah, they borrowed money, and they borrowed from the Romanian banks, and they ramped up their manufacturing, and that's when the Volkswagen came out. The people's wagon, Volkswagen. Volks is folks is people, and so that I think that really helped bring the world out of the Great Depression, because then everybody had to start spending more to ramp up their military, which stimulated job production or job creation and mechanical and engineering and everything else. And then along with that came more money. With more money came more spending. And as you know, the consumer is what ultimately drives an economy.
Especially today, yeah.
So for all of his evilness, he actually did the world some good. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, by the time they figured it out, he was already entrenched in power and nothing they could do with error.
No, nothing they could do. And that's life. I mean, you take the good with the bad.
You make your bets and you win and lose sometimes.
Yeah, and if you think that Israel's going to back down, you better think twice, because if one thing they learned from the Holocaust is don't give up.
That's right.
Don't go peacefully.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You'll end up being killed completely, the whole Jewish race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're taking this to the end, no matter what we think here or anybody else.
So I was filling out a form at the eye doctors. I had to go and get pre-checked for cataract removal, and I hadn't been there in several years, so they made me fill out everything again, and it said race, and I said, okay, pink. So I thought pink was a good race, and then it said ethnicity, and I said homeboy. So I'm a pink homeboy. Speaking of homeboys, Robert Kennedy revealed that he had a parasitic worm infection in his brain back in 2011 and 2012. Said his brain got a little foggy, but it's better now. So I guess it was cysticercosis, which is, I think, the pork worm, the pork tapeworm. And I guess the eggs, when they're released in the gut, they get into the bloodstream because they're pretty small. And then they can get into your brain and different body parts and hatch.
Okay.
And so I guess they figured that out and gave him some anti-helmus, which are the antibiotics that kill the worms. But I don't know. I don't know if I want a president who had worms in his brain. I mean,
I think we got one now, though.
I mean, it couldn't be any worse than the one that has Parkinson's now. But you still got to wonder. And he's got a little bit of stutter. Have you noticed that?
Joe, a little bit of stutter? Or are you talking about
No,
Kennedy?
Kennedy.
Okay, Kennedy, yeah.
Kennedy's got a little bit of a stutter. I had a teddy bear that had a little bit of a stutter, and he also had Tourette's. He was really difficult to listen to.
I bet would he talk to you all the time, did he?
He did. We talked a lot, but he cursed a lot and stuttered a lot. So it was, I don't know. It was something else. And you know what?
What?
It's time to give away some mugs.
My goodness, look at the time. Yes, clock got away from me. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question ready. And by the way, if you don't know how we play the game, giving away 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs to the first caller with the correct answer at 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600. And the question always deals with something we talked about in the last half hour. Today's question: yesterday's Spectrum outage across the Tampa Bay area affected Doc Howe. What did he have to adjust because of the Spectrum outage?
At the townhouses.
At the townhouse, right.
Yeah, we'll give it a little hint, help, because a lot of people may not have been listening. Let's give them that phone number, Ken.
It is 877-969-8600. First correct answer wins.
The first cancer or correct answer?
Correct answer.
Okay, are you morphing into my teddy bear?
I hope not. But you're the doctor. You would know.
I would know. I'll make the diagnosis here.
Okay. We'll be back then, right?
We'll be right back. This is Dr. Bill. Got Ken by my side.
National Plaza or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. A federal judge in Texas has temporarily halted a plan by the Biden administration to lower late fees on credit cards to $8. It was slated to go into effect this week. The temporary injunction imposed by Judge Mark Pittman in the Northern District of Texas is a win for big banks and major credit card companies, which collect billions in revenue each year in late fees, and were looking to stop the proposal from going into effect. Consumer sentiment fell sharply in May to the lowest level in 6 months as Americans cite concerns about stubbornly high inflation and interest rates, as well as fears that unemployment could go up. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index, a preliminary version, dropped to 67.4 this month from a final reading of 77.2 back in April. This is SRN News.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Can Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandhi. 727-577-2220. 727-577-2220.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com.
For today, low humidity with intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 91. For tonight, clouds breaking in with a low of 75. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 91. Get your weather news when and how you want it wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Caitlin Lawrence for AM 860, The Answer.
Are you there, Ken?
I certainly am, Doc. Are you there? You sound
I
like
am
you're
here.
there.
I didn't hear your cue, buddy boy.
Oh, I had the music up too loud for you, I guess.
I couldn't hear the music either.
Oh, okay. Well, you're on anyway. Somehow we managed to do it anyway, I guess. We have a winner, by the way.
Well, good.
Walt Kedzier. Walt Kedzier. From down in Lakewood Ranch. Down Sarasota area. You're beaming in there. And Walt Kedzier knew the correct answer for today's question, which was, what did you have to adjust because of yesterday's Spectrum outage? And it was the front gates.
The front gates. You got it.
So
and I didn't fix it, so I'm upset.
Well, you'll get it today.
I'll try it again today. I got to find the reset button on the control panel. I hate that gate system, Ken. Oh my God, I could kill the board members who voted for that. They got taken in by one of the members who we ended up kicking off the board anyway. So,
well, congratulations to Walt Kedzier, and thanks everybody who tried to call in and win.
Thanks, Walt. We appreciate you listening to us, buddy. It's great to have listeners like you, and all the way down in Lakewood Ranch. Oh boy, I've got a good friend down there. She was one of the nursing supervisors at St. Pete General for years, Val. And if she's listening, hello, Val.
Very nice area. Mm-hmm.
I think our medical director too, Ron Rasmussen, I think he lives down there in Lakewood Ranch. That's a very popular area, Ken. And for those of you who are not from this area, it's growing, and the housing is still a little cheaper than in St. Pete. So you might want to check that out.
Kind of between Bradenton and Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
And I think there's a lake down there. I think that's not Lakewood.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere
when they put in a name, usually there's some water somewhere. Yeah.
Yep. So, Stormy Daniels, did you hear her testimony at the Trump trial up in New York?
I didn't really pay that close attention to it. No, but
very salacious.
Was it? Of course.
Very entertaining. The problem is that it may be grounds for an appeal because it was so sensational that it would affect the jury's objectivity. But legal scholars are saying, well, the judge can tell the jury to ignore that. But how do you unring that bell? I don't know.
I don't know. I've always wondered that. How do you unhear something?
So a former Manhattan assistant DA and New York Law School professor. She said that this might actually help the state in their argument because it rebuts their defense that Trump was not trying to influence the 2016 election. But if Stormy Daniels had come out with all this in 2016, it may very well have negatively impacted his presidency, his run for the presidency. I don't know if she had worked it all out yet, because as you recall, her attorney Cohen didn't really come forward with the complaint until well after Trump was president, and he ended up being convicted for some charges, and he's a liar and a thief and a cheat and a no good. And I guess she's not much different. You know, the apple doesn't fall from the legal tree, so to speak. But
well, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to the case, to tell you the truth. But, you know, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot there.
No, but it sure is tying up his time and his money and keeping him from campaigning. But did you see yesterday he had a campaign stop in New Jersey? Over 100,000 people, Ken.
Really?
The largest gathering in New Jersey history for any event.
Wow, I hadn't heard that yet. Okay.
Yeah, 100,000. Unbelievable.
Well, he
And
still
they
has
had-
support, so that's good.
And I think they had an American flag the size of Washington, D.C. flying over. It was huge. I'm telling you. Thank God it didn't fall. Probably would have
Yeah.
taken out 10,000 people. But just it's amazing. I have not sent him any money yet, but if he goes to jail, if they convict him, I'm going to send him some money. I figure that's worth it.
I figure a lot of people would do that.
Yeah, yep. He paid Stormy Daniels $130,000.
Okay, that's
It's not big money, but
I don't know. I don't know what a story like that is worth. So
yeah, well, I would think that one of the reasons she's so upset is because she got such a cheap offering, you know? And he didn't come back for seconds, you know. So what are you going to do?
I don't know. It's all very sad.
Yep, it's all
Just
sad.
politics in this country, in general, is all very sad right now. But maybe it's that way for every presidential election.
Well, I think that there are some that are more contentious than others. I think that if you look at some of the battles that have been fought, like 1876, when Rutherford Hayes won or was named president, even though Tilden had won the election. But I guess it was a split. You know, the popular vote was one way, and what am I trying to think of? The College of Electors, whatever they are.
Oh, the Electoral College. Okay.
The Electoral College, yeah. They were another way. And so there was a big fight, and I don't think it was resolved for a few months. And the outcome was that Tilden would step back and let Hayes have it, but Hayes had to make sure that Reconstruction in the South would be permanently ended, and that there would be some fairness shown to the Southerners. You know, that was still in the post-Civil War era, Ken.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of animosity, and then I'm sure there were some very contentious battles. I know that Andrew Jackson made up all kinds of lies about John Quincy Adams. You know, a lot of what Andrew Jackson accused John Quincy Adams of, actually Andrew Jackson was guilty of those things, but he
really,
yeah, he preempted him. You know, so Andrew Jackson had married a woman before she was divorced from another man, so he or she or one of the two of them was a bigamist, and he did a lot of other things that were not exactly kosher, and so he thought he'd get ahead of the curve, and he accused John Quincy Adams of all the same things. And if you ever saw John Quincy Adams, you'd say, this guy, I mean, he probably had a hard time getting one woman, much less two or three.
Well, there have been times in this country, I know, when like the Republicans had their own newspaper in town. This is prior to radio and television, but You had the Republican newspaper and you had the Democratic newspaper. It's just very similar today when you look at the media. You have your Republican media, you have your Democratic media, but very little in the middle.
Well, the problem though is that the Republican media is about 5 to 10% of the media, and the Democratic is 90 to 95%. And the Republican media, Fox is not readily available around the world. They have not pushed their product out that far, but CNN has. They're all over the world. You can get them anywhere you go. And
yeah, they're kind of like the BBC now. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't say nice things about the president. I mean, about Trump.
No, they don't.
They want socialism and internationalism and pacifism, and I guess we're all going to end up being socialist Muslims in a few hundred years. I don't know.
Well, we won't be here, Doc, so.
We won't, but our echoes will. And we'll be recorded for all eternity.
I'm more worried about these solar flares coming at us, all this radiation and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I went outside for 5 minutes and got a sunburn. And Elon Musk is upset because his Starlink got disrupted by the solar flare. And
what do you think was going to happen? Yeah.
Somebody said that the newspaper, somebody said you can see the Aurora Borealis in Florida with this thing. I don't know if that's true or not.
I saw some pictures online and they purported to be from Florida. I kind of doubt it. That's a long ways away from the North Pole, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It was a pretty strong storm, I guess. So I couldn't see anything.
Really fascinating to see what effect the stars have on our lives and our existence. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a sun like ours. It's a nice sun.
It's a mediocre sun.
But it's perfect for us.
Exactly. It's very stable.
And it's just the right size and
just the right distance away.
I mean, it burps every now and then. I mean, these things happen.
That's right.
I thought maybe the spectrum outage was from the solar flare, but no, it was much less. Much less
more mundane, was it? Just a mundane fire?
Yeah, much less exotic. It was a pole burnt down. That's really weird, isn't it?
Went through a fiber optic cable. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I originally thought it might have been the solar flares myself. I thought, Spectrum lost a satellite. But
so, what do you think? Do you think that the hospitals have some responsibility to perform surgeries that people want that they can't afford?
Life and death? Are we talking life and death at the moment?
No, we're talking.
No, okay. You're talking about elective surgeries.
Yeah, elective surgery, tonsils.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they have a right to demand it from a hospital. If a hospital wants to do that and then get some sort of reimbursement from the state or an overall tax break, maybe, I don't know. But, like you said, it's their business. They're not giving stuff away.
No, and I think that when you do start giving health care away, quote, quote, which of course never really happens, you just pay taxes, increase taxes, and you don't really see the direct transfer of money from the patient to the doctor. Now, if you have to go out and apply for your own insurance and have a copay and all that, then I think you have a sense of attachment that you are actually paying for it, even if your copay is only $10 or $20. But I think that that's the way to make people responsible and have a sense of responsibility for their own health care. The nanny state, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Anywhere where you've had socialism implemented, things have not run well. Things are not good.
It can't be sustained.
No. And it ends up costing more and you get less.
Take a look at the $31 trillion deficit, and you'll see it can't be sustained.
No, and if you look at the Canadian healthcare system, which is a one-payer federal or provincial government payer, it doesn't work. They don't get the health care that we get. You say, well, they get emergency health care and elective things like knees and hips. They got to wait. But it's really more complex than that because, Ken, you can't get doctors in certain areas. You can't get a family practitioner. You can't get a referral to a specialist. So if you have a cancer that's treatable, early on, and you can't even get a referral to an oncologist, well, you're probably going to die. And I've had Canadians crying in my arms for me not to send them back, and saying we'll die if we get sent home. They won't take care of us.
Well, that is sad.
You know, it is. And I say to them, I say, look, I'm happy to take care of you. I'll even take care of you for free, but you can't expect the oncologists and the hospitals and the medications that are going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to be given to you free. So unless you have the funds, well, you got to go back home and get what you can get. And, you know, some countries, like I told you, South Korea, they add a tax at the wholesale level. So most people don't even know. They think they're getting free health care. Ain't nothing free, Ken.
Nothing ever is. No.
Nothing's ever free. Somewhere, somehow, somebody's got to put out some energy.
Exactly. And it's usually us. So,
well, yeah. And you can say, well, pretty soon we'll have all these robots that are going to do the work for us, but somebody's going to have to build the robots initially.
That's right.
There's always going to be, I mean, it's like AI, you know, everybody's afraid AI is going to take over. Well, they said the same thing about computers, and the computers have just created more work. And I can tell you, because I spent all weekend cleaning and upgrading all the computers at the office, which I have to do annually. And I have to make sure that all the software is up to date, because my office staff, they won't do it.
You're just a one-man band over there, aren't you?
Oh, my God.
No matter what the problem is,
I got to fix it.
Yeah. You put the sign in out front. I know you did that. You put the sign in out front. You're digging cable lines and things like that. And
oh, yeah. We put in a new water line from the street to the office building. And we tried to go in through the old cast iron pipe, but we couldn't get the auger through it. It was just so rusted out. So we had to dig all the way around the parking lot and come underneath the sidewalk and bring it up through the bushes. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
But you're out there doing these things. So.
Oh, I mean, you know, if you're a little guy, if you're a solo practitioner and you want to maintain some real estate that you can work out of, you got to put yourself out there. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it. And I can understand why a lot of the younger doctors, they don't want to be in private practice. They want to be in a group. They want to be in an HMO. They want to be a hospitalist. And you can't blame them, Ken. I mean, it's tough what I do. It takes a unique and rugged individual. Not that I'm bragging, but
takes a different work ethic.
It takes a different outlook on life.
Yeah.
And you know, you sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice a lot in your personal life, and your fun life. Although I find a lot of this fun, most people don't. They don't want to learn how to be a plumber or an electrician or a computer hardware guy. But for me, it's been fun. It's been a challenge. It keeps my brain limber and sharp, just like the radio show here, where I have to do a lot of research every week to have something interesting to tell you, Ken.
You do it just for me, do you? Oh, that's nice.
I do it just for you.
That is so sweet.
I know, I'm such a nice guy.
No, you enjoy what you do. And if you enjoy your job, you really never work a day in your life.
No. I mean, there are times when the only thing that I really have a hard time with and struggle with, Ken, are the employees. Oh, my gosh.
Well, people will mess it up every time, Doc.
Well, and working with women all of my life and having 3 sisters and no brothers and, you know, 8 dogs, 5 of whom were female, it gets tough. They complain a lot.
I'm not going to say anything bad about the fair sex. Sorry.
No. Well, I mean, you have to solve problems. The quietest it's been in the front office is when we had a guy working up there and sitting between 2 of the women.
Little
that
buffer
calmed
zone.
him down. A little testosterone goes a long way. But
well, we got about 4 minutes left here, Doc. What do you want to talk about?
So we talked about the solar storm, didn't we?
We covered that a little bit, yeah.
And Elon Musk, he was all upset because I guess it affected his Starlink, which is his satellites that are producing and supplying internet access for a lot of the world. And that's a growing thing. I think he's looking to shoot up 30,000 of those satellites. And I guess they're a little bigger than a dining room table. They're not very big.
And I don't know if we've got enough room up there for 30,000 of them. We already got enough stuff floating around up there.
Oh, there's
30,000 of them?
There's tons of room. Hey, you got 1.4 billion people in India alone, for God's sakes. And they're bigger than a bread box.
That's true.
I
This
mean,
stuff just if it goes bad, it just falls into the atmosphere and burns up anyway. So
yeah, and you think about it, the further out you go from the planet's surface, the more space you have. I mean, the greater the radius and the circumference and all the other things that go along with circles.
that's true. Yeah, that's why the space station is way up there.
Yeah, and you know, there's low orbit and high orbit, and there's all kinds of different levels that they can put these pieces of equipment at. And I guess the Starlink are at a low orbit, which is what, 100 miles above the Earth's surface.
Somewhere in there, I guess. Yeah.
And then the high orbit is 300 plus. So
there's some 25,000 miles out. Those are geosynchronous orbits.
Yeah, and that's a lot of space out there. Probably fit billions of these things out there.
You can get way out there. Absolutely. It costs a lot of money to get it out there. So he went with the I can replace this cheaper than I can send it up to 25,000 miles.
Yeah, and if you have something that you can mass produce and get up there relatively cheaply. I think initially he put up one or two in the nose cones of his spaceships or his rockets, but now they're putting dozens of them at a time up there.
They're fun to see if you get a glimpse of it once in a while. It's a line of lights going across the sky.
Yep,
reflecting off the sun right after the launch. So pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So at any rate, that's Elon Musk, and of course we can't have a show without saying something about Elon. Do you realize we've said something about Elon in just about every show for the past 2 years?
Why not?
Why not?
He's quite the guy.
He has.
Doc, we got about a minute. We got less than a minute now. We got about 45 seconds left. You want to give the numbers and all that?
Absolutely. I am Dr. Bill at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. We are at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. We see patients from all over this part of the state, and we have telemedicine visits. So if you're my patient and you're on vacation in New York, call me, have a visit. I'll send you a prescription up there. Pretty cool.
Actually, we have about 45 more seconds.
You're messing with me, dude. You're messing with me.
Sorry might need some new glasses. The clock's a little blurry here today, but yeah, we got about 45 more seconds. Give the number again.
727-384-6411.
You're looking at me like I'm crazy here.
You are. I mean, you're trying to see things with your bad ear, so.
That could be it. I look out the side of my head and it ain't working.
It ain't working. You got to use your eyeballs.
All right, Doc. Now I'm confident we have 25 seconds left.
All right. So I'm going to get my cataract done. I already had the left eye. I'm going to get the right eye so I can see again. Because when I'm doing minor surgery, I've got one eye closed. It really doesn't give the patient a lot of confidence.
Probably not, no. Hey, Doc. Say goodbye, buddy.
Goodbye, buddy. We'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, we say goodbye and hello to Jeff. Jeff, are you there? Good morning. I copy you fine, buddy. You're sounding nice and strong.